Welcome and thank you for attending today's event. Introducing Focus BI for Infor Distribution ERPs. I'm Action Associate Jason Naxted. Before we begin today's presentation, at the end of today's event, we'll have time to answer any of your questions. And as always, this will be recorded. So in case there's something you missed or something maybe you wanted to see touched on later, you can request a demo, ask any questions, and of course, view it online on our YouTube channel. Today's event will be covering why future financial planning doesn't have to be uncertain. With the right business planning and analytics platform, planning is faster, less of an administrative burden, and can be more connected to your entire organization. Today's presenter, Divya Orr, she's an Infor market account executive with Phocas Software, where since 2016, she's had customer success and account expansion roles and completed implementation for 100 plus customers to help them begin the journey to feel good about their data. She's helped wholesale distribution and manufacturing customers improve their warehouse and operations efficiencies and automate their reporting and financial planning and analysis needs. Down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see some icons. From there, you can ask questions, request a demo, view any of the associated resources attached to this presentation. And that is all for me. Divya, if you're ready, take it away.
Thanks, Jason, for the lovely introduction.
You bet.
Hello, everybody. Happy March. Hopefully everyone had a wonderful St. Patrick's Day and is ready to learn all about BI. So I'm just going to get started kind of giving you guys an overview of Phocas Software. And I also just wanted to, a quick reminder on the Q&A panel. If you do have any questions as we go through the webinar, feel free to type them in here and we'll go through them at the end. That's me. So today we're going to go over just an overview of Phocas and give you a little background on the company itself and all of our different integrations and kind of how our tools work. And then we're also going to go through the business planning and analytics solutions, so our BI tool and our financials and budgeting and forecasting tools as well. I'm going to go through just some high level about each of the products, and then we'll go into an actual interactive demo from there. So Phocas, we're not a new company. We have been around for a little bit here. We were founded in 2001, and we're founded in Sydney, Australia. And we have offices all over the globe now, which is pretty awesome, and over 3,000 customers globally. So we've got locations in Australia, the UK, the US, and our development team is all in New Zealand. And something that we are really proud of here is our 97% retention rate for our customers. We really hold our customers near and dear to our heart, and we really just want to make sure that everyone, once you go live with Phocas, that you guys love it and you're getting the most out of the tool. And it has been really fun over my years here at Phocas. I did spend quite a few years on the customer experience side, and we really spend a lot of time building those relationships and helping you guys get the most out of your data. So we specialize in manufacturing, wholesale, distribution, and retail. So just to give you a little insight on my experience, I work with distribution companies all the time, especially in the HVAC industry, electrical, lighting, all of that. And many of them who are running Infor Cloud Suite distribution or Infor SX.E, which are the two solutions we're going to be focusing in on today. So part of our partnership with Action Analytics is that we have built out some really awesome, robust solutions for the different ERPs that they have, so that when you guys get up and running with Phocas, you already have an out-of-the-box solution to report off of. So many of the customers that I speak with, they usually come to us and say that they have, thousands of SKUs, hundreds of customers, and they just want a way for their team to get quick and easy access to the data in order to make faster decisions. So from what we see is typically from the distribution side, you guys have data all over the place, and it can be in multiple systems or just in your ERP, but still it's not just sales data that you're looking at. You've got inventory data, you've got purchasing data, you've got finance data, And everyone might be looking at different Excel created reports or reports that you've generated out of the ERP system itself. And you really just want a way to be able to pull all of that data together and have a good overview of in one spot. So we like to say that Phocas works like a Rubik's Cube. So we're going to solve that puzzle for you and take all of that scattered data and all the different colors and put it all together into a solution. And we'll do the solving for you so that you don't have to figure out the right combination to get the answer that you're looking for. So with the analytics tool, we have 3 specific parts of how it works. We've got our analytics, so that is the grid view, which is really the secret sauce to Phocas, and that allows you to be able to drill down into the detail of all of the data behind the dashboards and reporting. So a lot of the times with traditional reporting or other BI solutions, you have a way to see all of your data in a dashboard view, or you've got like a static report of something that's predefined, but you don't have an easy way for your users to go in and change, well, I want to look at this by a different time period, or I want to look at this by some additional measures like margin or value, things like that, or even just switch to look at it at a different level. So maybe I want to look at it by who are my top 10 sales reps, but what products are they selling, or what product classes are they selling? Having the ability to use our grid to go in and change that without actually needing to go to an IT person to help you change that report, or having to write a query to change that, you actually can just do it all in a visual front end. And it's really simple and easy to use. We like to call ourselves human-friendly tech. So that's the first kind of piece. That's kind of where Phocas started off. And then we also have an awesome visualization layer where you can go in and create all sorts of charts and put all of those different graphics into a dashboard, which if you are using another BI tool, you're probably familiar with kind of how dashboarding works. But with Phocas, you're able to drill down and filter through all of the data from the dashboard itself and get to the underlying detail. And for those of you that have an IT team that would like to be able to pull and change different fields in the display for your users, we have Database Designer, which is a lot easier to use than creating a data warehouse or writing queries in SQL. You can actually just go in and modify whatever fields we're pulling in from Infor, and you can add them into your reporting view for your users. Today, we're going to primarily spend our time looking at how you can create a dashboard, how you can go into the analysis, and how you kind of use both of those 2 tools, and then the budgeting and financials as well. So with Phocas, we are able to pull in additional sources of data. So right now, for the Infor solution, we'll be pulling in all the data at the transaction level from Infor and pushing that into a couple of different data cubes, for example, that we can display in Phocas as databases. So we're taking that data from Infor. For CSD, it's from the data lake. For SXE or A+, it's going to be coming from the on-prem environment. We're going to push that in, and then we're going to be able to clearly define the different business units within the tool. So you can easily collaborate amongst all of your different teams, operational, sales, purchasing, executive, and have that be a single source of truth and allow your users to collaborate more between the 2 instead of having everybody looking at different reports and being siloed. You can have everything in one spot at a dashboard level and also allow each user to see what other users have created as well. So we have 4 main cloud-based products. We have the analytics, which is going to be pulling in your operational data like sales, purchasing, inventory, AR, AP. And then we had a lot of customers ask us, they wanted to be able to have their data not only in BI, but they wanted to be able to have financial statements and budgeting in one spot. So this is really kind of enhancing that single source of truth I was talking about earlier. Instead of just having, my operational data, purchasing, sales, inventory, so on, we also want to be able to pull in our GL data so that we could see that at the executive overview and actually be able to display, what's our total revenue? How are we doing revenue to budget to date? How are our sales affecting that plan that we originally set up for the beginning of the year, for example? But also we want to look at our EBITDA. We want to track all of that in one spot. And the tools that people were using were either something like Excel, and you're taking all of the data out of the ERP, manipulating it to create a statement. You're only really creating that statement on a month-end basis, or you were using a different financial planning and analysis tool outside of Phocas. And a lot of people just wanted it to all be in one spot so that they could have all their reporting as a single source of truth, feeding directly from Infor. So we created the financial statements and budgets and forecasting module completely off of customer feedback, and they are some really awesome tools. It really gives your finance team the ability to flexibly create whatever statements they need and actually be able to spend more of their time analyzing the data instead of creating static reports that they're looking at a month-end basis and distributing them out. And then for our Infor distribution and manufacturing teams, the rebates module is really great as well. So a lot of companies that I speak with, they have quite a few rebate programs with their vendors, and it can, especially with the volume rebates, they can be really difficult to track in the ERP or even in an outside Excel spreadsheet. So since we're pulling in all of your purchasing data, we can actually go in and read that at the transaction level and help you guys summarize, at the volume rebate level, how many rebates you're going to qualify for this year, how much you need to spend to get to that next rebate level, and give you a better bottom line margin calculation. So with that gives you that single source of truth where you can kind of see how you'd be able to get company-wide financial planning and analysis all in a single platform. So we're going to have your analytics, your budgeting and forecasting, and your financial statements all in one place. So before we get into the demo, just also a little bit more of an overview into the financial reporting. So a lot of the customers that we'll speak to, they're usually having to create financial statements from the ERP directly. They've got the CFO involved, they've got the controller involved, they usually have an accountant involved as well. Those three are usually creating that statement. They're pulling the data out monthly, they're making changes when they post the month at the end, and then they're distributing them out they could have a different format to go to the CEO, to go to branch managers, to go to outside shareholders, or even submitting them to external people that need to see your financials. They may have templates that they've already created in Excel, but they usually have to modify those. And let's say they need to add one new GL account. Now they need to add that to all 5 or 6 different templates that they've already created. Well, with Phocas, we're going to allow you to create a couple of different templates out of the box so that they're all ready to use and distribute. And all of that data is going to be updating nightly. So you don't need to recreate or download anything, and you'll be able to share those reports with any user automatically. So you could have it send out at the month end on a specific day of the month every month, and you won't actually have to hit download to Excel. It'll just send them an email with the Excel financial statement. Or you can look at it on a daily basis if you want to. All right, so I'm going to jump into the demo. I'm just going to look really quick because it looks like a question popped up. If I was to make a summary of the benefit of Phocas, is it to help create standard dashboards with the data versus having to create reports in Excel manually, pull from data already available, readily to pull from CSV out of the box? I would say yes. So I'm going to go through right now when I show you my screen, kind of how it looks at the dashboard level, but I'm also going to show you how you can do some quick data analysis right away. So instead of just looking at dashboards and standard reports, also being able to do data discovery on the fly. So not being limited to just that dashboard view. Thank you for the question, and I will make sure I highlight that. Okay, so all right, so I think everyone can see my screen. It's big really quick. Okay. So what you guys are looking at now is a dashboard on my homepage. So what I can see here is that I have got a really great 30,000 foot view of my business. So at the top, I have some financial KPIs that are displaying, so I can look at how we're doing this year versus last year and how we're doing to budget for each of these different KPIs. And then down here below, I can look at our sales metrics. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff pulled in here. So I can look at our sales by location, by department or industry that we sell to. I can look at it by product class. I've got our margin information, but I've also got inventory data down below, some purchasing information, and even our AR data. So all in one screen, I have all of that information. But here's what's really cool is I'm not limited to just this high level view here. I can actually drill down into any of the charts on this screen. That's going to filter everything in my dashboard to it. So let's say I wanted to look at our sales just in the healthcare division, for example. I could actually click in on healthcare and hit focus. And now you can see at the top here at my breadcrumb, it's filtering all of the data to healthcare in my dashboard. So I could scroll down and I could look at all of those products, if there's any products specific to that. Or I could even go down in here and look at, let's pick maybe lights and lamps as a category. And I want to drill down to just the US division, for example. Now I can see all of the different industries that we sell this product class to, how we're doing month over month, what our margin percentage is. And then down here, I can actually see how much we have on hand currently. We can even see our dead stock right here. I can go further and I could look at, all right, well, how much do we have? You know, how much have we purchased from that? What are the suppliers that we have for each of those? And I can even drill down here. So let's say maybe you wanted to look at your turns or your margin. You could drill down from this report, or right here, I've got this dead stock item count. So I have 19 items that are apparently dead stock, but I want to know what those items are, right? With Phocas, it's really awesome because you can actually drill down from any widget in the dashboard to get down to that detail. So from here, now we're into the Phocas grid, which is the database level. So now I can see this is the list of all of the items that are considered dead stock. So I've had we can see what the search is. This is all the items that we have an on-hand value greater than 0 and sales for the last 12 months equal to 0. So we haven't sold any of these items and they're still on our shelf. Well, maybe I want to look at the quantity that's on hand and not just the value, because I want to see actually how many do we have on hand. So this is a good dead stock report. It's not too many. There's just 32 items. And we can sort this kind of by, you know, we've got 6 of these. Maybe we don't really care about this one's kind of a higher dollar value item. Maybe we can try and push these, for example. So I'm going to go back over into the dashboard. So now we're over here into our solution for what you could get right off the bat with Infor Cloud Suite or Infor SX.E. So what you can see here, we were just in a dashboard earlier, but there are 4 main pieces of content that you can get with Phocas. We'll start you off with some alerts. So if you wanted some automated information about how you guys are doing with your current month sales, for example, or your profit, or even just customers that are increasing or declining, these will actually be updating every single day. For customers, for example, for the increasing one, it's going to be looking at customers who are increasing in sales over the last couple of months. Same thing with declining, the opposite. So this will be updating daily, and you can even send an alert to any of your users with an email. So let's say you want your sales reps to track maybe margin or a couple of accounts that aren't buying a specific product category. You can actually set that up in here and have them get an email anytime it's red, for example. They'll get an email for it, and they'll also get a link to go back to Phocas. So when they click into this list, they'll see which particular customers are declining. So now I can see this customer has been declining over the last couple of months. And then if I drop this one down, databases. So these are some examples of the databases that you can get right off the bat with an implementation with Action. So we'll start you off with an AP, an AR, inventory, purchases, sales, if you have TWL, and then financial statements. With all of these different databases, you're able to go in and pull elements of each area of your business to create a dashboard, or drill down into each one of these one at a time and save favorites. So a favorite with Phocas is a report, but it's not a static report. So you're able to go in and filter and drill down from any of these reports. So if I were to go into, for example, this GMROI report, I can see here I've got a GMROI calculation by all of our different products. I can click, now this is saved because somebody created this calculation for me. But if I wanted to go in and do some further analysis, now that we're in a database, I can. So I'm looking at the inventory database, and we're combining both inventory and sales data in my screen right now. If I wanted to go in and actually maybe look at this by supplier, I can just click on the supplier dimension here on the left-hand side. So since we're pulling all that data in at the transaction level, you can easily go in and slice and dice by any of those levels that we have available. And if you have additional fields that you're thinking of, we can bring those in from Infor as well for you guys to have as available buttons on the left. But now I could go in, I could click on one particular supplier, go back up to product and see what products the supplier typically we buy from them. I can look at it by the product category and look at the GMROI for that as well, or even just look at it by location too. Now let's drill down into the sales database. So a big thing that we hear our customers ask us for a lot. So the first part was we want to be able to understand and improve our business at any level. So that's the ability to look at that dashboard in the first way that we showed, where you can see all of the different aspects in one screen. But another thing that we hear a lot is that we want it to be self-service. So I want our users to be able to get the data that they need on the fly without having to wait for IT. So the way that you can easily do that is by giving them access to go and look into the Phocas sales database, for example. So let's put my sales rep hat on. Let's say I'm in here and I want to just take a look at all of the customers that are assigned to me and how they're doing this year versus last year, for example. I can click in on, we'll just pretend I am Kathleen. I'm going to hit Phocas. And now I'm going to click on a list of customers to get a list of all of that. But now this is just giving me month over month sales, not how I did this year versus last year. All I have to do is click on this mode and change it to variance. And now I'm going to get a quick view of how I'm doing this year versus last year. I could sort that We'll do it twice so that I could look at the customers that are down. And now I can actually just go in and select, let's just do my top 20 customers that are down, and hit focus and go over to the product tab or the product category tab. And I can actually see where I'm down this year versus last year for these specific customers by product class. So now instead of just looking at a list of, okay, I've got all my customers that are down, but what do I do with this information? What can I sell them, or how do I make them, how can I increase this, right? I could go over back to that product category and I can look at, all right, well, this customer, they're down 100,000 in illumination and they spent 200,000 last year. Let's click into illumination, for example, and look at the specific items that they've bought from us last year versus this year. Now we could maybe filter it down to some of these ones that had a little bit higher spend. And now you've got a pretty concise list of the SKUs that you could maybe talk to a couple of these customers about. So now if I go back, we had started off with 20, but there's 2 major customers, I guess, based on those products that I had selected. So that makes it even easier for me. And now I can easily go in and add their phone number to give them a call. And now if I want to go back out of this, I can just hit reset and start back over right at the top. So everything that we just looked at was all just sales value based, but we are pulling in additional metrics as well for you guys to utilize. So you can pull in you can look at your sales by quantity, by cost, maybe if we want to look at it by profit margin. You can add those fields as well and look at that at each month, or change that to look at the year over year. And you can also bring in your budgeting data. So this kind of helps with the financial planning. You can also create your budgets for Phocas. Either if you have one in Excel, we can upload it, or you can use our tool to create a budget easily for your sales team. So if I wanted to look at now our actual sales to budget, I can just click on this and change it to budget. Oh man, this one doesn't have it. So we'll pretend that open sales is it. So if we had published a budget here, we'd be able to look at that this way. But for example, in here, I can see my sales to open sales here. And I did want to actually show that to you guys in the Infor environment. You can look at sales invoices, open sales, quotes, and inventory all together in one screen if you wanted to look at that. And that kind of helps you do some pretty good data analysis. Like the GMROI and the dead stock, we need to be able to combine sales and inventory together. But for example, we can look at the sales to this and then do some quick comparisons by each customer, or even get down to the sales rep level. So I'm going to show you guys one more use case. Let's go into, maybe I want to look at a cross-selling opportunity. So I'm going to go over here into our product lines, and I know that our customers, whenever they buy dimmers from us, they're also usually buying LED. I'm going to click on these two and hit matrix, and I'm going to go over to the customer list. And now I've got a quick pivot table where I can see our dimmers and our LED light bulbs right next to each other. And I could just right click and say equal to 0 here. And now I've got a quick list of all of my customers that have bought LED light bulbs and have not bought dimmers from us. Now, if I want to bring in sales rep to this list, I can click on this little grid nesting here, and I can do sales rep. And now we've got a little simpler report view where I can drop down each of my sales reps, and I can see all of the customers who haven't bought by each sales rep who haven't bought dimmers but have bought LED. And if I wanted to add that quantity in there to get a count of how many LED bulbs that they have bought from us, that might give you a better number of how many dimmers to sell to them. And then you can add in their phone number and as well to this report. So that gives your team a really quick way to come up with something to action. Now, all of these reports and everything you can save. You can have them shared to your users however frequently you want them to have it received to their email, or you can also export anything to Excel. And then you can also go down into here and you can get into the transactions from any value that you're at in Phocas. So if you wanted to look at the specific invoice level detail behind something that we're looking at, we're actually, since we're pulling in the transactions, we can get right down to the invoice number and you can add additional information. Like if you need to look at cost or product, we can add that in just by selecting any of these buttons here. All right, I'm going to pause. I'm just going to take a look and see if there's any questions. Okay. So we're going to go over into the financial side of things now. All right, so Phocas financial statements. One of my most favorite tools, actually, that we've built out. It's really cool and super fun and easy, makes financial reporting a lot less of a burden for your team. If I drop down this left-hand side for statements, I can see that I have a profit and loss, a balance sheet, a cash flow, and a trial balance. So we're going to start you guys off with these 4 different statements. And then your team can actually go in and clone and recreate as many different statements as they need to have. So let's say you had a specific template that you want to send out to your branch managers versus something that you send out to your external sources or investors or anything like that. You can actually save different ones. Or if you have certain KPIs that you want to track, but you don't need those to be on your main profit and loss statement, you can create as many as you want. So what makes this really cool is that you can go in, we're pulling the data again in at the GL transaction level, and then we allow you to have your users be able to customize the statements with any way that they want to be able to do it. So if we were to just take a look at the profit and loss one, for example, you can easily go in and you can rename any of the groupings here. You can reorder any of the groupings, or you can even add in custom calculations too. Referring to any of those groupings that you had set up. So all these groups are pointing directly to the chart of accounts that we're pulling in. And you can go in and you can add in additional groupings as well. So something that we hear a lot with Infor is that you might not have the ability to set up multiple levels of categories in your financial statement. So usually people are doing that either in Excel or another reporting method. Here you can go in, you can actually set up whatever groupings you want right into Phocas if you want to do up to 3 different levels. So what I mean by that is if I order this by accounts, I can see I've got all of my operating expenses, but I also wanted to categorize them by whether or not they're marketing or whether or not they're employee costs, and then also add in an additional level here. And you can also create some really cool financial ratios. So if you have been wanting to display your EBITDA in different ways, your return on assets, your day sales outstanding, for example, any of those things, we can actually refer to the balance sheet from the profit and loss so that you can do those calculations within the statement. So after you've gone through and customized all of that, you're not limited to really any view here in the financial statement. So you can customize any of the rows that we just saw on that screen, but you can also customize any of the columns that you have displayed. So now if you wanted to look at your budget here, I can click in and add that as an additional column. And now I'm looking at this year versus last year to budget and how we're doing between the two. I can drop this down and look at this by account level. But let's say I want to look at it at that higher level when I created that additional group. I can bring that in, and now I can see right here at the top, I've got my operating expenses by each specific group. And then I could look at that at the GL account level. And I can switch this to any time period that I want to see. So if I want to look at it by the last 3 months instead, I can do that. If I want to look at it for rolling 12 months, I can change it, and it's really quick to load all of that information. I love the spark lines feature. I think it's really fun. You can go in here and you can actually see visually how you're doing at every level on your P&L. And it carries through to all of the levels below it. So again, all of this information can be exported to Excel or PDF, and you can subscribe your users to receive an Excel report or a PDF as well. And you can also create visualizations. So you can go in and create different charts to add to a financial dashboard. So you can easily track kind of how you guys are doing this year versus last year, and if you're on track to budget. And you can create, a simple call out card by account. So if you're looking at maybe just operating expenses as a whole, or a particular category here, like travel and entertainment or something like that, you can take a look at that and add it to a dashboard right here below. And then finally, something that our customers always want to be able to see is being able to look at a branch side-by-side P&L if you have multiple locations. So you can just click on here and add some of your branches, and it's going to give me a view of those 4 branches consolidated, and then an individual P&L for each branch side by side. And again, this data is updating nightly. So just like how in the sales database, I was able to get down into transactions. I always save this one for the end. You can get to GL transactions too from anywhere in the statement, and it's going to take you right into the specific transaction line number for whichever account and time period you're filtered on, and you can download this to Excel as well. Alrighty, with that, I'm going to go over into budgets and forecasts. So our budgeting and forecasting module really gives you guys the ability to create your budgets off of any database that you have in Phocas. So if you want to create a sales budget, an inventory forecast, a purchasing forecast, or a financial budget and forecast, you can utilize this tool to do all of that. It's going to store as many versions as you want to have in here in history. So if you want to look at last year's budget versus this year, you can have it all in here. But what's nice about it is it's one live version of the budget at a time. So you're not downloading multiple views in Excel, sharing that to different users as they modify and enter in their new values, and trying to figure out who entered what. And if you're in the latest version, it's all going to be live. So if we go into the financial budget, for example, here I can see I've got that exact P&L layout that we were just looking at in the financial screen before, and I can see all of my actuals for revenue, cost of sales, other income loaded in here, and then I can drop down each of these categories, and I can see them by some interesting levels. So I've got it by category. I've got this one by division and branch. And then underneath each, we can see each of our GL accounts here. And this is where that collaborative approach comes into play. You can go in and you can actually assign each of these rows here to any user. If you wanted to assign this to a particular branch manager or a different user, you can actually assign the row here. And now I can't edit this. We're going to store cell history and all of that in here so that you can see, who entered in what. You can add in comments as well to keep it really interactive, and then publish this budget once you're all done creating it right back into the financial statements where we were looking at our budget to actual in Phocas. So what makes it really easy here is, let's say you just want to go in and you want to say, for my budget, I want to do like 15% more than I did last year. I can hit apply, and it's going to apply this proportionately. And it's going to apply this budget value all the way to every row below based on how I did last year. Now, if I want to see that comparison, I can drop this down, and I'm looking at 2023, how we did based on what budget number I entered in. And you could go and manually enter in additional numbers in here as well. And we can bring in a whole bunch of different tabs in here. So if you want to base your budget off of including sales information, if you want to bring in your head count from your payroll system like ADP or something like that, we can bring this in. You can also bring in the balance sheet too, so that we can automatically create a cash flow forecast as well. So what a forecast would look like is something like this. So let's say we've set our budget and we wanted to start forecasting for, the second half of the year, for example. I can see, we've got quite a few months of actual data, and this is what our forecast looks like for the last part of the year. I can drop this down and I can adjust my numbers by account, or even just at the level here. So if I wanted to say, for operating expenses, let's follow our actuals and apply. That's going to update the number based on how I've done for the first half of the year for the rest of the year. And now it's going to say, okay, based on how you've done so far, you're going to be up 3%. And you can just go ahead and do that for all of them, or you could even snap to budget and see what you need to do at a bare minimum to meet your target budget based on what you've done. And then you can publish this back into financial statements as well, again here, and look at the financial budget to actual on a monthly basis. We do have a couple of customers who are reforecasting weekly even. And you can do this at the sales data level as well if you wanted to go in and create a sales rep budget and have them be able to actually go in and forecast at the product category level, things like that. All right. So I know that was a lot of information. I want to make sure we have enough time for questions, and just wanted to kind of go through. We've got a lot of awesome customers. Couple hundred on Infor, and a lot of happy customers with the Infor Action team. It's been great. Lots of one customer, for example, that I've worked with, they've been using Phocas for many years. They are now running sales, operations, finance, and rebates, all of our modules. And they told me the other day that their budgeting process used to take them 2 months. And for 2024, it took them 15 minutes. That was an awesome story for me to hear, because they just called me this week to tell me about that. And it made me really happy that that we could take a process that used to be so cumbersome for their team and make it that much easier, so that now their team is trying to figure out how they can actually increase sales and make their company more efficient instead of spending all that time creating the initial budget.
right. Thank you, Divya, for that highly informative presentation. Jason, I'm back. What makes Action unique? We're one of the largest Infor distribution partners in North America. We partner with leading technology providers like Infor to transform business operations for Action customers, deliver high-value consultative services addressing business process improvement, including industry best practices and innovative technology solutions. For ERP implementations, our proprietary lean implementation process ensures a successful go live. A little bit about who we are. Our company comprises over 220 employees and more than 6,500 customers. We're a national ERP software reseller and IT infrastructure provider focused on the architectural, engineering, and construction, real estate, and distribution and manufacturing industries. 2 company-owned data centers, top 20 VAR in North America, and 2023 Top Workplace Award winner. Questions, if you have them now, go ahead and put them in. We do have a couple right off the bat, though. Divya, can Phocas integrate with other ERPs besides Infor?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a great question because I work with full action teams, so we can start off there. So Phocas does have the ability to integrate with really any data source as long as it's ODBC, SQL, API, or even just text files. With Action itself, I work with the Infor team, but I also work with their Acumatica, Sage, and Deltek divisions, and they have some awesome solutions for those as well. So it is nice because you are not limited to reporting off of one data source.
All right. Is there a way to limit Is there a way to limit what my sales reps are allowed to see?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jason. So we can do role-based security within Phocas so that you can actually limit on any field. So if you wanted your sales reps to only see data where they're the sales manager or sales rep, it is nice because you just have to create that one dashboard and it's going to carry that restriction across to everything. So you don't need to create a dashboard for each sales rep, but you can do that on any field that you have available in Infor.
All right, great. And final question. I need to share reports with different teams, and this can take a lot of time manually. Is there an easier way to do this in Phocas?
Yeah, absolutely. So as an Phocas administrator, you can actually go in and you can subscribe your users to receive those reports. If you wanted them to get an automated alert email or a favorite to their email on a weekly basis, for example, as an admin, you can just go in and subscribe them all at once.
Fantastic. Well, Divya, thank you very much for hanging out with us today. And thank you to everyone who attended and took time out of their busy schedule to learn all about Phocas BI and how Action and Phocas can help your company. If you have any questions, request a demo. We'll get you in touch with the Phocas team from our Action team. I'm Jason Nackstead. Any questions you might have can be written to me, jknackstedt@action.com. Once again, thank you, Divya and the Phocas team, and thank you everyone for taking time out of your day. I'm Jason, and we'll see you next time. Have a nice day, everybody.
Thanks, Jason. Bye.